My name is Daniel Carter, 38M. And for the past 12 years, I thought I had a good marriage. My wife, Emily, 35F. And I had built what seemed like a stable life together. Nice house, successful careers, and a social circle that made life feel complete. But I was wrong. And I found out the hard way. Because while I was working to give us everything, she was sneaking around with my best friend, Jason, 39M. And not just anywhere. In our bedroom. Jason, the friend I thought I could trust. Jason and I had been best friends for 20 years. We met in college, went through life's ups and downs together, and he was even the best man at my wedding. If there was one person I trusted besides my wife, it was him. He had been through relationships, heartbreaks, career struggles, and I had been there for all of it. I never suspected that the man I once called my brother was secretly waiting for an opportunity to stab me in the back. But looking back, there were signs. I just didn't see them. The first clues. Emily had always been a little selfish. She loved attention, loved when people noticed her, praised her, admired her. But I thought that was just who she was. Then, over the past few months, things started changing. She became distant, less affectionate. Her phone was always face down, notifications silenced. She started going out more. Gym, shopping, girls' nights. Then, the biggest red flag of all. Jason started coming around more often. At first, I didn't think much of it. He had always been welcome in our home. But then I started noticing weird things. He would linger after I left for work. His car was parked outside our house late at night. Emily started defending him whenever I jokingly said, "Man, you're here more than I am." Her responses? "Oh, stop it, Daniel. He's like family. Jason is going through a rough time. He just needs a friend. Why are you acting jealous? That's not attractive." I brushed it off, because I trusted them. And that was my biggest mistake. The night everything changed. It happened on a night I wasn't even supposed to be home. I had a business trip scheduled, just a 2-day conference. Emily barely reacted when I told her. "Oh, okay. Safe travels."
No quis govier.
"No, I'll miss you." Just indifference. But then, the unexpected happened. My flight got canceled. So I decided to surprise her. I drove home, excited to spend the night with my wife. I walked through the front door. And that's when I heard it. The sounds I can never unhear. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Muffled voices. A low laugh. Then, a moan. I froze. My stomach dropped. I took a slow step forward, listening. And then, I heard it again. A moan. Her moan. Coming from our bedroom. I stood there, heart hammering, every nerve in my body screaming at me. My brain kept trying to rationalize it. Maybe she was watching a movie. Maybe she was on the phone. Maybe, but then, I saw it. Jason's jacket. Hanging on the chair. Right there. In my house. The moment of truth. I walked down the hallway, every step feeling heavier than the last. I didn't hesitate. I pushed the door open. And there they were. My wife. My best friend. In my bed. There are moments in life that split your existence into before and after. Before, I was Daniel Carter, the trusting husband. After, I was the man who caught his wife in bed with his best friend. I stood there, frozen in the doorway. Emily was straddling Jason, her hair a mess, her hands gripping his shoulders. Jason's face went ghost white the second he saw me. "Emily?" She screamed, like she was the victim, like I was the intruder in my own home. I should have been angry, explosive, violent, but instead, I felt nothing, just a cold, calm clarity. Jason's pathetic reaction. Jason scrambled out from under her, grabbing a pillow to cover himself like a coward. "Dan, bro, listen, this isn't what it looks like." I laughed, actually laughed. "Really, Jason? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like what it is." He opened his mouth, closed it, because he had no excuse, and he knew it. Emily's lies begin. Emily wrapped herself in the sheets, her eyes wild with panic. "I can explain," she gasped. I tilted my head. "Go on then. Explain it." She swallowed hard. Then she launched into the pathetic defense all cheaters use. It didn't mean anything, Daniel. Oh, I said, raising an eyebrow. So you just tripped and landed on him? She flinched. We made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I nodded. How long has this mistake been going on? Silence. Her fingers twisted the sheets. A few weeks, she mumbled. I turned to Jason. That true? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Dan, man, I never wanted to hurt you. How long, Jason? Silence. Then a whisper. 6 months. I laughed again, because at that moment, the last piece of my heart that cared about these two disappeared. The turning point. Emily snapped her head toward Jason. You said a few weeks, she shrieked. Well, what was I supposed to say? Jason muttered. They started arguing. Right in front of me, like I wasn't even standing there. Like I wasn't the husband she had betrayed. Like Jason wasn't my best friend. That was the moment I realized something. They deserved each other. And I deserved better. The first blow. I took a deep breath. You know what, Emily? You can have him. She blinked. What? You heard me. He's all yours. Hope it was worth it. Then I turned to Jason. And you? Pack your stuff and get out of my house. Now. He stammered. Done? Get out. He scrambled to grab his clothes, tripping over himself like a pathetic fool. I stood there watching as he fled like a rat. But Emily? She wasn't done yet. Because cheaters never let go that easily. Her final pathetic attempt. Daniel, please. Emily grabbed my arm, tears streaming down her face. I made a mistake. It was just a stupid, meaningless thing. It didn't mean anything. I pulled my arm free. It meant something to me. She broke down sobbing. But for the first time in our marriage, I felt nothing. Because the woman I had married, she had died the second she betrayed me. The cold goodbye. Pack your bags, I said. Her breath hitched. Wait, what? You heard me, Emily. I want you out of my house by tomorrow. Her face crumpled. But where will I go? I smiled. Not my problem. And then, I walked away, because I was done. The morning after, I woke up alone. For the first time in 12 years, there was no Emily next to me. No fake good morning kisses. No forced smiles. And I felt nothing but relief. But as soon as I walked downstairs, that relief disappeared. Because Emily, she was still there. She refuses to leave. She sat at the kitchen table, pretending nothing happened. Drinking coffee, scrolling through her phone, like she hadn't been caught cheating on me in our bed with my best friend just hours ago. I folded my arms. Why are you still here? She looked up, blinking like I was the crazy one. Daniel, be reasonable. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem, Emily. She sighed dramatically, setting her mug down. I just need time to figure things out. You can't just kick me out like some stranger. I laughed. Oh, but I can. Lies and manipulation begin. She stood up, trying to switch gears. Trying to manipulate me. Look, I know I messed up, but we have so many years together. So much history. History doesn't mean anything when you burn it to the ground, Emily. She bit her lip. What if I promise to make it up to you? We can go to therapy. Work through this. I tilted my head. Work through what? The fact that you slept with my best friend? The fact that you lied to my face for 6 months? Her eyes flickered. She had nothing to say. Because there was nothing left to say. I give her one last chance. Emily, I'll say this one more time. You need to leave. Now. Her jaw clenched. Then, her face twisted into something colder. Something uglier. You think you're just gonna throw me out like garbage? I didn't even flinch. I don't think. I know. Her lips curled in anger. Fine. But don't expect me to go down without a fight. I smirked. Oh, Emily, you already lost. And then, I walked out, because I was done playing her games. Step 1, the legal move. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Daniel, you want her out immediately? She asked. Yesterday would be better. She sighed. Legally, she has a right to stay until the divorce process begins. But There are ways to make her want to leave.
I'm listening.
And what she told me was brilliant. Step 2. The petty revenge begins. Since Emily refused to leave, I decided to make her life miserable. Here's what I did. Cut off all her comforts.
No Wi-Fi.
No hot water.
No Actini.
Canceled the grocery delivery she relied on. Took my name off our shared streaming services. Turned the house into a nightmare. Set my alarm for 5 a.m. every morning. Full volume. Played heavy metal whenever I was home. Started renovating, aka banging on walls and making as much noise as possible. Destroyed her social life. Told all our mutual friends exactly what she did. Let the news spread. Watched as everyone started cutting her off. And just like that, she started breaking. The meltdown I was waiting for took a week. One night, I came home to find Emily pacing the living room. Her hair was a mess. Her phone was in her hand, but no one was answering. She spun around when I walked in. "You're ruining my life," she snapped. I smirked.
No, Emily.
"You did that yourself." Her hands clenched. "You think you're winning, Daniel? You think you're gonna walk away from this without consequences?" I crossed my arms. "That's exactly what I think." She let out a frustrated scream, grabbing a vase off the table and throwing it at the wall. It shattered, just like her last shred of control. And finally, she did the one thing I had been waiting for. She gave up. The final goodbye. 2 days later, I woke up to find Emily packing her bags. I stood in the doorway, watching as she shoved clothes into a suitcase. She didn't look at me. "I hope you're happy," she muttered. I smiled. "I am." She zipped up her suitcase, tears in her eyes. "You'll regret this one day." I shook my head.
No, Emily.
"The only thing I regret is ever trusting you." She opened her mouth, then closed it, because she knew it was over. And with that, she walked out of my life. For good. After Emily left, I expected to feel anger, regret, or even sadness. But instead, I felt lighter. She was gone. And now, it was Jason's turn. Because while Emily had lost her home, her reputation, and our marriage, Jason still thought he had one. But what he didn't realize, his entire life was about to fall apart. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. Step 1. Exposing Jason. Jason thrived on his image. He loved being seen as the funny, successful, well-connected guy. So I decided to take that away from him. And all it took? One message. The group chat bombshell. Jason and I shared a tight-knit group of friends, guys we had known since college. So I dropped a simple message in our group chat. "Hey everyone, just a heads up. I found out that Jason has been sleeping with my wife for the past 6 months. I caught them in my house. Thought you all should know." And then, I muted the chat, because I already knew what was coming. The fallout hits instantly. When I checked back an hour later, it was pure chaos. Mark, "Wait, what? Are you serious?" Chris, "Dude, Jason, tell me this is a joke." Ryan, "What the hell, man? That's low even for you." And the best part? Jason had no defense, because there was nothing he could say. He tried. "Jason, guys, it's not what it looks like. Things just happened. Mistakes were made." Chris, "Bro, shut up. You're done." Mark, "I can't believe we trusted you. You're a snake." And just like that, Jason was out. Step 2. Taking his job. Jason worked in sales, a career that relied on connections and trust. And the best part? One of his biggest clients was a mutual friend of mine. So I made a quick call. "Hey Mike, got a minute?" "Of course. What's up?" I kept my voice calm, professional. "Just wanted to give you a heads up. Jason's been involved in some questionable behavior. Thought you should know before signing anything long-term with him." Silence. Then Mike sighed. "Damn, I had a feeling something was off with him. Thanks for telling me, Daniel." And just like that, Jason lost his biggest account. Step 3. The public humiliation. Jason had a girlfriend. Well, had. Because when she found out, She left him instantly. I didn't even have to do anything. By the time she heard about what he did, she was already packing her bags. The last thing she ever said to him? You deserve everything that's coming to you. And honestly, she was right. Jason tries to fix things. After everything fell apart, Jason did the one thing I was waiting for. He called me. I let it ring. Once, twice. Then, I answered. What do you want, Jason? His voice was shaky. Mom. I messed up. I know I did. But you don't have to do this. I smiled. Do what? Hold you accountable? Look, we've been friends for years. We were friends. Silence. Then his voice broke. I lost everything, man. My job. My friends. My girlfriend. I don't know what to do. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about everything he had taken from me. And then, I said the words he never expected. Not my problem. And then I hung up. Just like that. Just like he had thrown away our friendship without a second thought. Now, he had nothing. And I was just getting started. It had been a month since Emily left. A month of peace. A month of silence. A month of rebuilding my life. Jason was ruined. Emily was gone. And me? I was doing better than ever. Then, she called. And I knew exactly what she wanted. The desperate plea. I stared at the screen. Emily. I could have ignored it. But something inside me said, answer it. See how far she's fallen. So I did. Daniel. Her voice was soft, almost nervous. Emily. My tone was cold. She hesitated. I wanted to talk. About what? About us. I laughed. There is no us, Emily. She rushed to explain. I made a mistake, Daniel. Terrible mistake. I know that now. Jason. He wasn't who I thought he was. I smirked. Oh? And you're just realizing this now. She let out a shaky breath. I miss you. I miss what we had. There it was. The classic cheater's regret. Not because she loved me. Not because she cared. But because she had nowhere else to go. And I was going to make sure she never forgot this moment. The trap I set for her. I sighed. All right, Emily. You want to talk? Fine. Meet me at our usual spot. Tonight. 7 p.m. Her breath hitched. Really? Yeah. Let's see where we stand. She jumped at the chance. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. I promise you won't regret this. Oh, but she would. Because I wasn't meeting her for closure. I was meeting her to humiliate her. The same way she had humiliated me. The public exposure. At 7 p.m. sharp, I arrived at the small cafe where we used to go. She was already there. Dressed up. Hair perfect. Wearing the same perfume she used to wear for date nights. Like she thought this was some kind of reunion. She smiled when she saw me. Daniel! She reached for my hand. Pulled away. Let's just sit. Her smile faltered. Good. We sat down, and before she could start her sob story, I pulled out my phone and hit record. The truth comes out. Emily, I just have one question, I said, leaning forward. She looked at me with hopeful eyes. Did you ever love me? Her lips parted. Daniel, of course I did. I still do. I smirked. Then why did you sleep with Jason? She flinched. I was lonely, Daniel. You were always busy with work. I felt neglected. Ah, there it was. The victim act. The excuse every cheater uses. So it was my fault? I asked, voice calm.
No.
I don't know. I cut her off. You know what's funny, Emily? She blinked. Jason said the exact same thing. Right before he lost everything. Her face drained of color. Because she knew. She knew I had destroyed him. And now, it was her turn. The final blow. I leaned back in my chair, tapping my phone. You know, Emily, I was thinking about us. About what we had. She brightened. Really? Yeah. And I realized, I don't miss you at all. Her face fell. I stood up. This little meeting? It wasn't about fixing anything. It was about making sure you understand something. She swallowed hard. What? That you lost the best thing that ever happened to you. I grabbed my phone and showed her the screen. She gasped. The entire conversation, recorded, and I had just caught her admitting to everything. Her lies, her betrayal, her regret. She reached for my hand, panic in her eyes. Daniel, please, don't do this. I smiled. You did this to yourself. And then, I walked out, leaving her sitting there, exposed, broken, and alone. Exactly how she had left me. After that night at the cafe, Emily thought that was the worst of it. She thought I had finally let go, that she could walk away with just a bruised ego. But what she didn't know, I was just getting started. Because she hadn't just betrayed me, she had disrespected me. And now, I was about to make sure she never forgot it. Step 1. Destroying her reputation. Emily had always cared about what people thought of her. She loved being the perfect wife in front of others. So I decided to tear that mask off. The social media bomb. A few days after our cafe meeting, I posted something simple. I just want to thank everyone who supported me after finding out my wife cheated on me with my best friend in our own home. It's been a rough few months, but I'm moving forward, stronger than ever. Betrayal doesn't break you. It reveals who truly matters in your life. Onward and upward. I didn't name names, but everyone already knew. Because when someone asked in the comments, "Wait, Emily did that," I simply replied, "She knows what she did." And just like that, the floodgates opened. The fallout was immediate. Emily called me that night. I let it ring. Then, she texted, "Daniel, take that down. Please." I left her on read. Because now, she was finally getting a taste of what she did to me. Her friends started pulling away. The invitations to social events stopped. She wasn't just exposed. She was isolated. And I was just warming up. Step 2. Making her life miserable. Since Emily had no job and relied on our shared finances, I decided it was time to cut her off. I met with my lawyer. "She's legally entitled to some support during the divorce process," she told me. "That's fine. I want to give her the bare minimum. Enough to survive, but nothing more." She smirked. "Got it." And just like that, Emily went from living comfortably to struggling to pay her bills. The designer clothes? Gone. The weekly salon appointments? Cancelled. The brunches with friends? No longer in the budget. She was drowning. And I didn't care. Step 3. The career move that broke her. Emily always thought she could land on her feet. She had been applying for jobs in public relations, the same field she worked in before we got married. But what she didn't realize, I had connections. One of my old colleagues worked at a company she applied to. When he called me, he laughed. "Guess who just sent in an application?" "Emily?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Yup. You want me to pass it along?" I thought about it. Then, I smirked. "Actually, no. I want you to tell them exactly who she is." And so, every interview she landed went nowhere. Because no company wanted to hire a woman who had personal drama following her. And when she realized she wasn't getting calls back, she sent me another text. "Did you do something to sabotage me?" I replied with just 2 words. "Not my problem." And that's when she finally snapped. Step 4. Her breakdown. A few nights later, I was at home, enjoying a whiskey in silence, when someone banged on my door. I opened it. And there she was, Emily, hair messy, eyes red from crying, a shadow of the woman she used to be. "Daniel, please." I sighed. "What do you want, Emily?" She took a shaky breath. "I can't do this. Can't live like this. I made a mistake. Okay? I get it. But can we start over?"
Ist here.
"Start over?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy, counseling. I'll prove to you that I can be better." And for a brief second, she actually looked hopeful, like she thought I was about to say yes. Instead, I took a slow sip of my whiskey. Then I smiled. "Emily, I don't hate you." Her lips parted slightly. "Why you don't?"
No.
"Because I don't think about you enough to hate you." Her face fell. I took another sip. You're just someone I used to know. Her breathing hitched. But I love you. You loved yourself more. Tears rolled down her face. So this is it? We're done forever. I chuckled. Emily, we were done the moment you chose him. And then, I closed the door and walked away, for the last time. For the first time in years, my life wasn't dictated by Emily's moods, manipulations, or betrayals. She was gone. And I was finally free. At first, I thought there would be pain, regret, second-guessing. But there wasn't. There was only relief. And now, it was time to rebuild. Not just my life, but myself. Step 1, the physical transformation. The first thing I did, I hit the gym. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but because I needed a new focus. A way to channel everything. First, it was just a way to clear my head. But soon, I was stronger, more confident. And the best part? I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for me. Step 2. The career level up. With Emily out of my life, I could finally focus on myself without distractions. I had spent years putting our marriage before my ambitions. Not anymore. I started saying yes to opportunities, took on higher-paying clients, began networking again. And soon, I wasn't just doing well. I was thriving. And the irony? Emily was struggling, while I was rising. Step 3, the social reset. With Emily gone, I reconnected with friends I had lost touch with. At first, some were hesitant. They had been caught in the middle during the fallout. But when they realized I was done with her for good, they welcomed me back. And soon, I wasn't just rebuilding my social life. I was making new connections, new friends, and eventually, someone new. Step 4. The unexpected encounter. It happened at a charity event a few months later. I wasn't looking for anything, just enjoying my life. Then, I met Sophie. She wasn't like Emily. She was kind, genuine, real. No games.
No manipulations.
Just honesty. At first, I was hesitant. But then I realized something. I wasn't afraid of love. I was just afraid of settling again. And this time, I wouldn't. The final nail in Emily's coffin. One night, I was at a rooftop bar with friends, laughing, enjoying myself. And then, I saw her, Emily, sitting alone. She looked different, not just physically, but emotionally drained. She wasn't the confident, arrogant woman who had betrayed me. She was just empty. And when our eyes met, I saw something that made me smile. Regret. Real deep regret. Because she knew. She had lost me forever. And I had never been better. I raised my glass. And then, I walked away, without a second thought. Because for the first time in my life, I knew exactly who I was. And I would never let anyone take that from me again. Just when I thought she was gone for good, life was great. I had moved on. Physically, mentally, emotionally. New career opportunities. New friends. Even someone new. And most importantly, I didn't think about Emily anymore. But as it turns out, she still thought about me. Because one night, she did something so pathetic, so desperate. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The late-night knock on my door. It was midnight. I had just come home from dinner with Sophie. Relaxed. Content. Then, a knock on my door. I checked my phone. No texts, no calls. And something in my gut told me exactly who it was. I opened the door. And there she was. Emily. Hair messy. Clothes wrinkled. Eyes puffy. Like someone who had been crying for hours. Daniel? Can we talk? I sighed. Emily, what are you doing here? She swallowed hard. I need to see you. Please. The last conversation she'd ever have with me. I didn't invite her in. Instead, I stepped outside, arms crossed. Say what you need to say, Emily. And make it quick. She took a deep breath. I know I don't deserve this. But I miss you. I raised an eyebrow. You miss me? Or do you miss the life I gave you? Her lips trembled. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I swear, Daniel, if I could go back, I would have never done it. I smirked. Funny. Because you didn't seem so sorry when you were in our bed with Jason. She winced. I was stupid, okay? I thought I wanted something else. But I was wrong. I let out a slow breath. Emily, why are you really here? Her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sleeve. Then, she finally said it. I want another chance. The ultimate backfire.
Is Certa here?
Then I did something she wasn't expecting. I laughed. Not out of anger. Not out of pain. But because the idea was so ridiculous, I couldn't help myself. Emily, you think I would ever take you back? Her face fell. I love you, Daniel. I shook my head. You loved having me. You didn't love me. She grabbed my hand. We can fix this. I can be better. Please, just let me prove it to you. I pulled my hand away. Emily, I'm going to say this once, and I need you to really hear it. Her eyes were desperate, hopeful. I don't love you. I don't want you. And I don't even think about you. Her breath hitched. But we were everything to each other. I shook my head.
No, Emily.
I was everything to you, and you threw me away. Tears streamed down her face. Please, Daniel, just one more chance. I sighed. Then, I gave her my final answer. The final nail in the coffin. Emily, I've met someone else. Her body stiffened. What? She's kind, loyal, and the best part? She would never do what you did. Emily's face crumpled. Daniel, no, it's too soon. You don't love her. I smiled. I don't need to love her yet. But I know for a fact that she's already 10 times the woman you ever were. She sucked in a sharp breath. I took one step closer. You have to live with what you did. You have to wake up every morning knowing that you threw away the best thing that ever happened to you. She shook her head, tears pouring down. No, please, Daniel. I'll do anything.
Is Certa here?
Then, I whispered the final words she'd ever hear from me. Not my problem. And with that, I turned around and shut the door in her face. Forever. After shutting the door in Emily's face, I thought that was it. I thought she'd finally accept reality and leave me alone. But cheaters? They don't just give up. Especially when they realize they've lost everything. And Emily? She was about to embarrass herself one last time. The embarrassing public scene. It happened at a friend's engagement party. A night that was supposed to be about celebrating love and new beginnings. But Emily? She had other plans. Because when I arrived, with Sophie by my side, Emily was already there. Watching. Waiting. Like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. And when she saw me, her face twisted with something ugly. Not sadness. Not regret. Jealousy. Because while she was alone and miserable, I had moved on. And that drove her insane. She tries to ruin the night. Everything was going great. Until I heard my name. Daniel! I turned. And there she was. Emily. Standing in the middle of the party. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Dramatic enough to make a scene. Everyone turned. Sophie's hand tightened in mine. And I just sighed. Because I already knew what was coming. Her pathetic speech. Daniel, I need to say something. I folded my arms. This isn't the time or place, Emily. She ignored me. Instead, she looked around the room, making sure she had an audience. Then, she started her pitiful speech. I just want everyone here to know. I made a mistake. Murmurs spread across the crowd. Some people whispered. Some watched in awkward silence. But me, I just stood there, waiting for her to dig her own grave. Daniel, I love you. Her voice broke. I never stopped. And I know I hurt you. But I need you to know that I regret it every single day. More murmurs. More people shifting uncomfortably. I saw Sophie tense beside me. And I knew it was time to end this. The moment I shut her down forever. I stepped forward. Emily, you have some nerve. Her eyes widened. What? You don't love me. You love the idea of me. You love what I used to give you. The security, the stability, the comfort. Her breath hitched. That's not true. I cut her off. But the moment you thought you could do better, you threw it all away. And now, Now you just hate that I'm the one who's happy, while you're the one suffering. Gasps. More murmurs. People nodding in agreement. She opened her mouth. But I wasn't finished. I've moved on, Emily. And you? You're stuck in the past. You want me to forgive you? Fine. I forgive you. But that doesn't mean I want you back. That just means I don't care about you anymore. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Please, Daniel. I turned to Sophie, smiled. Then, I kissed her. Right there. In front of everyone. And when I pulled away, I looked Emily dead in the eyes. You are nothing to me now. And then, I walked away, leaving her standing there, humiliated, exposed, and completely, utterly alone. After that night, Emily was officially out of my life. No more texts, no more calls, no more desperate attempts to claw her way back in. She had been publicly humiliated, and now, she had to live with it. But me, I wasn't living in the past anymore. I was finally free, a new life without her. For the first time in years, my life felt light. No more walking on eggshells. No more wondering if I was enough. Because now, I knew the truth. I had always been more than enough. She just wasn't worthy of me. And now, someone else was. The final goodbye. Months passed. One day, while cleaning out some old boxes, I found a picture of us. Me and Emily. Back when I thought we were happy. I stared at it for a moment. Then, I threw it in the trash. Because that's where she belonged. And just like that, I was done. For good. The future looks bright. Now, I have everything I ever wanted. A thriving career. True friends who have my back. A woman who actually values me. And the best part? I never wake up wondering if I'm being lied to. Because real love doesn't make you doubt. Real love makes you feel safe. And that is something Emily could never give me. Final lesson. The best revenge is moving on. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that cheaters don't deserve second chances. They don't deserve closure. They don't deserve your time. The only thing they deserve, to watch you live a life they can never be part of again. And trust me, that's the best revenge of all. The end. Rocket fire. Final thoughts. Lightbulb walking away is the real power move. Lightbulb self-respect is more valuable than any relationship. Lightbulb, the right person will never put you in a position to question your worth. Thank you for following this story. Stay strong, stay sharp, and never settle for less than you deserve.